it's August. And a few months ago, like I want to say March, at least through part of April, I was pretty sure by August we would be back here. Here, do you recognize it? Here in our sanctuary. Oh, it looks kind of sad. We would be here and we would be reopening. We would be reopening our church building, reopening our schools, reopening businesses, getting back to life, like at least mostly back to how it was. And yet here we are in August, and the building still, it looks like this because we're not reopening. We're not sure when we can reopen. Schools, they're not reopening. All of this can make it feel like we're on this like sort of indefinite pause, where we're just waiting for life to start or to make certain decisions because we're just not sure what's going to happen and how we will be able to navigate it when it does. It's made me start to think that rather than focusing in on guidelines for reopening the church or whatever, we should instead think about guidelines for reopening our hearts. I mean, how do we keep our hearts open even now? I mean, like, how do we keep our hearts open to our partners, to our friends? How do we keep our hearts open to our kids or our grandkids? How do we keep our hearts open to ourselves, to our city, our country, our world? How do we keep growing and loving life? How do we keep loving life even when it seems like life is not doing a very good job of loving us back? Starting this Sunday, this is what we're going to be exploring. These questions, these steps, or maybe you can even say guidelines for reopening our hearts. That is answering that question it's relevant not just in a pandemic. How do we keep our hearts open? How do we remain open to what is emerging now? We're going to start this Sunday at the beginning, which, as T.S. Eliot says, means we're going to start at the end. The ending is where we start from. And so this Sunday, we're going to start with all that has ended, all that is ending, and just surface those things, to recognize them, to name them together. And then that afternoon, we'll start what I'm calling Water Communion Week, right? Because we're going to, that afternoon, begin our first of a series of places where you can bring your water for a ritual of releasing all that is in the way of receiving. The second half of the series, we're going to lean into this unknown time, this between time, and recognize the ways that it can be an opportunity for learning, for exploring possibilities. In the midst of all that is changing and shifting around us, we need to tend to all that is shifting within us. We can't lose sight of the need to reopen our hearts so that we can still feel the presence of love, the call of courageous love, even here and now. Join us.